Hey there, welcome. How have you been? It seems to me that you are as good as you can be. Before going to discussion, let's talk on a very important issue. Maybe you are feeling blank, numb, bored, staying at home. Don't allow yourself to be. Take these long, tiring periods as blessings. Have morning workout every day. Concentrate on yoga or meditation. Pray to God every day. You can find out the meaning of your life. Help your mother in cooking. Associate youngers in study. Read books. Listen to music. And also make time to listen some motivational speech. Watch motivational videos. You can find out the meaning of your life. Overall, all these things will help you to stay in a right track. Anyway, let's concentrate to our lesson. In our previous lesson, we have been analyzing graph chart, specifically analyzing pie chart and bar charts. Today, we will talk about clause identification. Clause identification is a very important thing in academic English. If you don't understand how to identify clause, you cannot solve so many exercises in your syllabus, like completing sentences, transformation of sentences, and so on. So concentrate in your lesson and take notes. If you watch this video sincerely, I can assure you, you will be benefited. This lesson is very special because you will find this item in your admission test or in any job examination. However, if you ask for help in distinguishing noun, adjective, and adverb clause, firstly, you have to know what is a clause. A clause is a group of words containing a subject and verb that can act as a sentence. So you can easily understand that a clause is a group of words in which we will have a subject and a finite verb. Right. So an independent clause is a simple sentence. It can stand on its own. So these clauses are of two types: independent and dependent. A clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a finite verb. A finite verb shows time, such as present, past, or future. For example, she is hungry. I am feeling well today. So in these two sentences, we have subject and finite verbs. So these two sentences are clauses. Okay, she is hungry. This is a clause. I am feeling well today. This is another clause. Right. So a dependent clause cannot stand on its own. It needs an independent clause to complete a sentence. We can understand by the word dependent. Dependent means this clause is dependent to another independent clause to complete its meaning. Right. Dependent clauses often begin with such words as although, since, if, when, and because. For example, although she is hungry. By reading this sentence, what can you understand? We can easily understand that this type of clauses cannot complete it in each meaning. So if we want to complete this clause, then we have to depend on another clause, another independent clause. So these type of clauses are called dependent clause. Here we have another example. Whoever is hungry. So here we expect something to complete its meaning. So this is another example. Because I am feeling well. Okay, this is another example of dependent clause. If we want to complete each meaning, then we have to depend on another independent clause. So now, according to our discussion, we can say that clauses are of two main kinds: independent and dependent. So an independent clause, also called a main clause, can stand alone as a complete thought. You can say the boat is leaking. So here the sentence is complete each meaning, or the clause is completed in each meaning. We don't need to depend on any other sentences. This clause itself completed in each meaning. Cats sleep most of the time. Elizabeth I ruled England for nearly 45 years. Here we have another example. We will plant a large garden this year. Okay. So here you can see the differences of dependent and independent clause. The example of dependent clause is although she is hungry, and independent clause is she will give him some of her food. This time you can see that although she is hungry, this is dependent clause. To complete its meaning, this is dependent to this independent clause. She will give him some of her food. Whenever they decide, I will agree to. Okay? This whenever they decide, dependent clause, dependent to this independent clause, I will agree to. Dependent clauses function as adverbs, adjectives, and nouns. So, adverb clauses. Like an adverb clause can tell when, where, why, or how an action takes place. For example, the prisoner escaped because the guard was sleeping. So this is an adverb clause. You see, because the guard was sleeping. So this one is an adverb clause because it tells why the prisoner escaped. Okay. The next one is he found the book where he had left it. So this is another adverb clause because the clause tells where he found the book, the place. Adjective clauses like an adjective clause tells more about a noun. Adjective clauses are easy to identify because they follow the noun they qualify. For example, they usually begin with who, whom, whose, that, or which. So always keep in your mind that adjective indicates to some words which modify a noun or pronoun. The old woman who lived in a shoe had several children. So adjective clause, who lived in a shoe. This is an adjective clause, tells more about the noun woman. Is that the face that launched 1,000 ships? So this is also adjective clause because this clause tells more about the noun face. There goes the dog, whose owner never picks up after it. So this is also adjective clause because the clause tells more about the noun dog. The man whom I met last night is joining us for breakfast. So whom I met last night is also an adjective clause. And this clause tells more about the noun man. Adjective clauses may also begin with the conjunctions like when, where, or why. So here you have a note. Some folks cling to the superstition that time when, place where, and reason why are embarrassments to be avoided, but that's another post. The constructions are perfectly acceptable English. For example, I visited the field where Magna Carta was signed. So where Magna Carta was signed, this is also adjective clause because this clause tells more about the noun field. I remember a time when real people answered the telephone. So when real people answered the telephone, this is an adjective clause. Tells more about the noun time. He never disclosed the reason why he resigned. This is also another adjective clause and tells more about the noun reasons. Noun clauses. Like a noun clause can function as the subject, object, or complement of a verb or as the object of a preposition. Unlike adverb clauses and adjective clauses, a noun clause can be more difficult to identify because of the way it relates to the main independent clause. The other two kinds of clause are easy to see because they are eternal to the main clause and relate to a word in the main clause. The noun clause is an integral part of the main clause, functioning as subject, complement, or object. Words that often introduce a noun clause are who, what, why, where, and when. Words that can also introduce a noun clause are which, that, whoever, whatever, wherever, and whenever. The fact that several of these words can also be used to introduce adjective and adverb clauses adds to the difficulty of identifying a noun clause. What I believed at the time proved false. So here what I believed is a noun clause and this is used as a subject of the verb proved. Most people ignore whatever he says. This is also a noun clause, whatever he says, because this clause is used as the object of the verb ignore. Ignorance of the facts was why he kept changing his mind. So this is also a noun clause and why he kept changing his mind, this noun clause indicates to complement. This noun clause used as a complement of the verb was. Okay, so do you know what is complement? Complement indicates to another identification of the subject. Okay. The office manager left a note on the refrigerator for whoever was stealing yogurt. So this is also a noun clause and this whoever was stealing yogurt, this clause is used here as the object of preposition for. Here you have a note. Okay, take a note. The last example illustrates a construction that often tips up speakers who instinctively want to use the form whom after the preposition. When the object of the preposition is an entire clause, the choice must be who because the word is the subject of the verb in the clause. Here you have some exercises according to the question of the admission test. Right. These questions are given as the form of multiple choice questions. Try to do it by yourself. Number 1. The jury believed that the man was guilty. Number 2. Come when you like. Number 3. I know the girl who won the prize. Number 4. He confessed that He was guilty. Number 5. I know you have great regard for him. Do you think that I am a fool? Before I die, I want to see Venice. The hand that rocks the candle rules the world. I know a boy whose father services in the army. Right. I will not go until he arrives. Number 11. The coffee maker that I bought for my wife is expensive. Number 12. If you give respect, you get respect. So, dear students, try to do it by yourself and submit your homeworks in the comment box and take class notes, and also class notes will be submitted in the comment box. Right. So our next lesson will be phrase identification. That's the end of today's lesson. Take care, don't go outside, obey your parents. Take care, thanks to you all.